Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second season of Tell Me That. In this season, we will be asking my dad all questions that we have about life. These can be questions about career, personal development, or relationships, or whatever we can think of. So if you're interested in what my dad has to share this time, then stay tuned.
Back
Hello, Dad.
again.
Back again.
Hi, son. Back again. You are calling from Dublin. I'm sitting here in Wegberg, very
In
exciting
Germany.
city, as
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Wegberg, Germany. It's well. Sometimes I'm kind of jealous, see this. I mean, a city like Dublin. I have not really been in Dublin so far. I have been in Ireland a few times.
Yeah.
Um, and I really enjoyed it. At the time, I was working on special machinery for aircraft engine overhaul. And in Ireland, there is a company. What was the name? Caledonian Airmotive.
Okay.
They used to do the engine overhaul for Lufthansa and other big airlines. At that
Oh,
time, when
really?
I went to visit them, it was so exciting. It's at that time it cost about $10 million to overhaul one aircraft engine.
Wow.
That's crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy, yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Well, Dad.
so what can I tell you today about
Yeah, as I told you last
my
time,
humble
I've prepared
life?
some questions. I've prepared some questions for you. Um, yeah, I hope some questions will also come in from our audience. But for today, the question that I have for you is, yeah, I'd say more about career and ambition in life. And it's a question that I've asked myself a lot of times. I think I somewhat have an answer in my head, but I want to know your position on it. And the question I've prepared for you today is following your passion good advice? Why is it good advice? Why is it not good advice?
Uh, well, this is a very interesting question because it leaves a lot of room for wrong decisions,
Hmm.
in your life. I mean, follow your ambition, follow your passion, and all that. Uh, some people would say, "Oh, yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah,
fantastic. You do what you want to do, and but if you don't make the money, you need to
yeah,
finance that beautiful life that you have. Then that's kind of difficult. Well, what I did, and I had this thought already when I was a young engineer, when I just finished my uh, my engineering study in Cologne. I mean, what can you do? I mean, mechanical engineering, and at the time I was also engaged with this big machine tool company in Germany, and they kept pushing to have me back as a designer. It's at that time, this was not computer aided design. It was
yeah,
just this big whiteboard, in front of you the whole day from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night with this drawing machine. It was, I mean, and just making these little thin lines, with that pen. I mean, all day long.
yeah,
Of course, of course, I developed a passion for engineering.
yeah,
It can be so much fun, when someone says, "Well, this customer wants to have this and that, and what can we do about it?" And you have this white piece of paper and nothing else, and just
yeah,
your pen, and
yeah,
you start thinking about it. You make some sketches. And you have some ideas, and then you discover, oops, there are physics that kind of spoil that idea.
yeah,
So, um, uh, yeah, I mean, at that time, to follow my passion would have been I become a designer for machine tools.
yeah,
It was a lot of fun. and I was respected because I had always these crazy ideas. And I must say, I was always on top of what's available on the market. I mean, what I learned at a very early stage was you don't have to design something that's already available. However, you do that for 1 year, and every morning you see this big whiteboard in front of your eyes, and you see these 20 people around you staring at their whiteboards, and one guy is singing, the other guy is smoking a pipe. But it's always the same story, and it's kind of boring. So, and since I'm a person that likes to deal with other people, I decided to use the know-how that I had built up and get into sales.
Yeah.
And sales was at the time, first of all, it was even more passionate than design. And that's the second point. There was more potential for making more money.
Yeah.
Because when you are in sales and you do a good job, you are very valuable for the company. So I decided to stay in sales, but just sitting in a sales office and preparing these, you get a request for quotation in, and you prepare a quote, and you send it to the customer, and you see, at that time, Germany, or companies in Germany, they didn't really know what they were doing. I mean, they didn't have a clue about what sales about. So they made their quotes, their quotations, send it to the customer, and then most of the people were staring at the telephone and waiting for the telephone to ring.
Yeah.
This is no good, I mean, this is kind of boring. So after I learned my lesson in sales, and I knew all about making quotes and how a quote looks best and so on, and I wanted to get out. And that was the time when I decided to go to the United States, and that was probably the best business decision I ever made in my life, and getting into another, or going into another country and getting some international experience this is even more passionate, this is so exciting, and wow, look at the salary, and they even pay you a bonus. That's incredible. In the United States, these Americans are very good at that, I mean, they know exactly how to treat you, provided that you are performing well, So so I went to the States, and I could use all the things that I have learned in my past, my design experience. I had a lot of experience in, let's call it, internal sales, preparing quotes and all that. So and now I was outside on the road, and these Americans, I mean, they say, well, here, we just got a request for quotation in. Why don't you call that guy and go and see him? And I said, well, why should I see him? He wants to have a quote. I'm going to prepare a nice quotation now, and I send it to him. And if he likes it, he's probably going to call me. And they said, oh, God, you are starting from scratch, I mean, you don't know anything about sales, So, and then they actually told me, of course, a request for quotation or telephone call, Americans do a lot on the phone, they call you and they say, well, I got this and that problem, and I need a machine to solve that problem. Can you help me? And the worst you can do is to say, well, okay, we have something, I sent you some information, or I sent you a quotation for a machine so you have an idea. And no, what you have to do is you have to move your ass,
Yeah.
You have to get into the car, you have to go to visit these guys. And that is so important, because it is the beginning of building up a relationship.
Yeah.
And the relationship is the clue for success. And
Yeah.
and so, back to me personally, it was so exciting, it was so much fun, that I forgot about all this design work and preparing quotes. I had people to prepare the quotes.
Yeah.
I was focused on seeing people, talking to people, going with them through their workshops, and looking at the problems that they have. And and building up relationships. You go with them to have lunch, and during lunch you talk about this and that, what have you, and also about the families and this, or
Yeah.
golfing, whatever. I mean,
Sure.
everybody has a passion,
Yeah.
and one guy is golfing, the other guy has a Corvette that he loves,
Yeah.
and so. Um, I always, to get back to your question, I always try to find the balance between um, having fun with what I was doing
Yeah.
and making money. I never made, I mean, when I made a move, from a professional point of view, when I made a move, I I never, in the new position, I never made less money than I made before. You
Yeah.
know, this
Yeah.
is this is just not acceptable. I mean, if you do that once, and you have that in your CV, for instance, it's no good. People say, well, there was something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would you go for a job that pays you less money? No?
Yeah.
And don't give them that bullshit. Well, it's my passion. I always wanted to work for
Yeah.
you, and that's bullshit. So
Yeah.
you always have to find the balance between what you enjoy, what you want to do, and making money to finance that nice life that you have. And I mean, you don't believe how easy it is to get used to a good income.
Yeah.
And I still remember in the States, I bought a house, I bought a car, I bought a stereo, I bought things I could have never afford in Germany. So you get used to that, and that is also some kind of a motivation. Um, Making money, and still doing what you really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And you see, you developed some kind of some kind of a sequence. I mean, it's an ongoing thing. You do your job, you do it well, but you are always focused on, where do I want to be in 1, 2, 3 years from now? There was
Yeah.
always a focus that I had. So, as I told you before, I mean, from the States, where I really learned how to sell something, and how to build up relationships with customers. From there, I moved to Brazil, because first, it was a real move in my career, because I had a responsibility for many people. The company had, altogether, this company had about 450 people, and about 80 people were working in our department. But still, my focus was always, this is something I'm going to do now, and I did that for 3 years, Brazil.
Yeah.
And what am I going to do next? What
Yeah.
am I going to do next? Without sacrificing any money. I mean, the money was kind of important for me.
Yeah. Sure.
So after this Brazil story, I got back to Germany, because Brazil was kind of a a comfort zone, the comfort zone that I went to the company every morning. My secretary, she got me my coffee and the mail, and just every day the same thing. And we had our meetings, and the work was actually done by the employees, the people that I had in my team, good people. And then I went back to Germany, and I got a after a while, I ended up in a managing director position, and I was responsible for a subdivision with 300 people, making the finest machine tools of its kind in the world, and it was just great, It was, and I had a range of responsibility that was not just sales, it was sales and finance and design, and I could use all the stuff that I learned in the past, So, but again, after a while, and that's so like 2 3 years, you ask yourself
Yeah.
that question again. Is
Yeah.
that now where you want to get old? Get old.
Yeah.
I mean, is that
Yeah.
it? And I was at the time, I was just in my early 40s. So is that the position that you want to retire with? I mean, it's still had more than 25 years to go. It's a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So, and the answer was no, no, definitely
Yeah.
not. It is a top position, but no, there got to be more in life. There got to be more into it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, to make a long story short, I I decided to start my own business. And that is again a totally different league. It's a huge challenge, to start from scratch with an excellent business idea. So when I built up that company, uh, I had like 8 years. I had a lot of fun. It was 1 year was more exciting than the previous year, and after 8 years, this or 8 9 years, this joint venture partner who was bought out by an investor. In the meantime, he said, "Well, Willie, we like to buy your company, because." With a joint venture, we can't do much here in Germany. A joint venture. I mean, we have been bought out by an investor, and they want to grow the company. And the easiest way to show them a quick growth is to buy your company. Then we can integrate it into ours, and we make a big jump. So, um, well, when Americans make you an offer. It's always difficult. I mean, Germans tend to be stubborn, and they say, "Well, these Americans, are never going to sell my company to them." That's very foolish, because if
Yeah.
Americans want to buy your company, they gonna buy your company. And the first offer is the offer: let's stay friends, and we pay you a fair price.
Yeah.
If you say no, the second alternative is we're going to show you that you cannot really live without us, and the price goes down. So I thought a day or two, and then I considered the offer that they made, which was just incredible. I mean, basically, they use that formula, they take EBITDA and multiply it by, they have this multiplier, like 6 is for a good company, 7 for an
Yeah.
excellent company, and so on. So we had that EBITDA, and they multiplied it by, I think, 7 or 8. I mean, it was just a great offer. And so then this thought came back: what am I gonna do next?
Yeah.
Because that was very exciting, but I don't want to stop. I mean, I got some money now, but I'm not gonna go with Mama on a cruise now and spend
Yeah.
all that money. So uh, again, challenge. making money again. And so they made me an offer to stay with the company as a managing director, or a CEO actually, and join their board of directors and the
Yeah.
investors board of directors, not the company, the investors board of directors, which was quite a promotion for me. I also got some shares of the company in the United States. That's something that they kind of tie you to the system, so that you don't go, or leave. Because this is something that American companies are always afraid of. When they buy a company, they like to stay with the management at least for a certain period, So,
Yeah.
and they always make it very interesting to the people to stay with the company. Anyway, so I
So
joined
how
the
does
board
this
of
relate
directors, which
to
was
the
again,
question? Were you following your passion? How does it relate
yes,
to what I asked you?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, because you see, when you consider the way I walked, from a designer to salesman,
Yeah.
sales
Yeah.
director, managing director, and so on. These were all positions that I wanted to do. It
Okay.
was, I was. That's the reason why I was also successful. It was just total passion. In each position, total passion, and imagine, being a member of the board now, uh, well, with an American company, have these board meetings every month, and learning even more because the system is different there, but it's
Yeah.
additional learning again. And it was so exciting, it was, and the money was pretty good, I tell you.
Yeah.
So it was total passion, and I did that for like 5 years until the company was sold again. And this board of directors, well, these were actually the owners of the company, and they had invested money in the company, and they grew the company from like $15 million to $50 million in 5 years. That was pretty good. So, but you see, what what I learned was, um, I didn't stay in the box. I
Yeah.
I I went beyond that. And that was so exciting. And so for 5 years, I did that, and then I sold the company again, and I retired, and I uh, got my shares paid out, which they kind of, when I bought them, the value was like one, and now the value was four. You see, I never
Yeah.
thought that it was possible. That's just
Yeah.
only possible in the United States. I tell you, these guys are great. Now, anyway, so, and then I retired, and I promised your mom that I stay home now, and that we enjoy
Yeah.
life a
Well, that
little
didn't
bit.
really work. Yeah.
Well, no, it didn't work. It didn't work when you walk that road, and you
Yeah.
always look for doing things with passion, and making good money, and then you stop from one day to another. It just doesn't work. So I stayed home
Yeah.
for a year, and then I bought myself into a little machine tool service company here in Germany, which was kind of, you see, what I did so far was very exciting, very good, very professional people. But this company, it was like 100% German,
Yeah.
stubborn and terrible. So
Yeah.
I wasted a lot of time and energy uh, uh, turning that company around, because when I bought it, it was not in real good shape. And I stayed with the company for another 6 years. And it was kind of exciting, but it was not really what I could have done. It was just something that I did. And that actually showed me that do in life things that you want to do,
Yeah.
where you develop passion and making good money. Never do something that you just want to do, or you're just going to do because there is nothing else available, or you don't want to stay at home, or this is all crap. Forget it. So,
Yeah.
and after I sold my shares of that company, then I stayed home and I've had it.
Yeah.
But at that
Yeah.
time, I was in my late 60s, and it was kind of enough. When you get to that age, um, you actually feel the pressure from the younger people. They
Yeah.
have a different education, they have a different drive, they have way more energy. I mean, of course, they kind of participate from your experience. And you can give them once in a while a good advice. So, like I did with you, but
Yeah.
I
Several
mean,
times. Yeah.
yeah, but basically, I mean, I'm not blind. I mean, the younger people with the education that's available today and the tools that they have today is with 65 years. You are an oldie. I mean, you are not really, you just don't have that drive anymore. And
Yeah.
so I decided to concentrate more on family, which was also a lot of fun. We did a lot of traveling, and that was it. So, I mean,
So in your
basically,
life,
what we have.
when you made your decisions, what was it that you were passionate about? So you always decided to progress and take on the next challenge, take on the next position. What was your passion? It wasn't.
Well,
I wouldn't say it was machine tooling itself, because that's just the industry that you ended up in. But still, you could
yeah,
have stayed
but
a
no,
designer, for
no,
example.
right. Right. You see, it was not really the product. It was not
Yeah.
really the product. Um, I have developed a passion for working with people and
Yeah.
achieving something with people, not
Yeah.
not achieving something as Willie,
Yeah.
because what you achieve is kind of limited. It's like the taxi driver that buys his own taxi and he drives day and night, and you see he has only the potential for an income of one taxi driver. And
Yeah.
another guy, he buys 20 taxis, he
Yeah.
hires 20 people and he sends them off on the street, and they make a ton load of money for the guy. And he knows how to handle that. He goes to the bank, he gets the sold stuff finance, but at the end of the day, he's going to end up as a millionaire, and the poor
Yeah.
taxi driver that bought that one little taxi, he is going to end up at 65, kind of worn out and tired, and you see, for me, important was always to achieve something with a team and
Yeah.
make people uh, productive, make people um, reaching a goal. And this is not that easy, because each person is different. But this is the passion that I have developed, was probably more for this, for working with people and reaching a goal as a team. Because if you reach a goal as a single person, it's fun. It's fun, you
Yeah.
enjoy it, but tomorrow you forget it. But as a team, when I started this company in Lyon with that team, it was fantastic. These 8, 9 years, it got more and more and more, and not because it was really that did it. No, I made these people that I had, 12 people that I had, I made these people to go for the limit, and that was just so exciting, and that was what was actually driving me.
Yeah, very good. So if someone came to you, imagine you were CEO again and you have young employees, maybe a young engineer, maybe even young mechanic, doesn't matter. They would come to you and would ask you the question, in my life, should I follow my passion? What would you tell them?
Uh, yes, follow your passion. That's important, because if you do something without passion, you're not going to succeed.
Yeah,
But don't lose focus on where you want to be in 3 or 5 years. Well, in three
yeah,
years. 5 years is way too long, these
too long.
days.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't lose focus in where you want to be in 3 years, and don't lose focus on what am I worth. You
yeah,
know, I want to make money. I'm a valuable person, and I want this company to accept it and to pay me well. So it is not just one thing. I mean, I'm passionate about machine tools. Yeah, you can be passionate about machine tools and then die as a very poor person. It's
yeah,
not fun. I mean,
yeah,
passion. Yeah, do what you want to do. You see, from my brain, I'm an engineer, I'm a
yeah,
designer,
yeah,
but from my heart, I'm a salesman. I mean,
yeah,
salesman in Germany, just the word salesman, it has not a very high ranking. In the United States, when you are a salesman, you are something. I mean,
yeah,
you have a position in your society. So um, follow your passion, yes, but don't lose focus on where you want to be in 3 years, and don't lose focus on what you are worth.
yeah. Great advice.
But you're gonna go that road. I know that. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
You're gonna do. I mean, in the early
yeah,
years, it is more difficult to follow these rules than
sure.
later on. I mean, in the early
Yeah,
years, you have to learn.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
important. You cannot really afford to say, well, I'm only gonna do what I have passion for. I mean,
yeah. No, it's not
um,
possible.
in the early years, you have to learn, get experience, make contacts, but then it won't take very long with you. You will see you develop that feeling of wow, that's so much fun. I'm gonna do that,
Yeah,
and then you see that the company makes good money, and you want to make good money, and then don't get stuck into that comfort zone, desk and phone, and that's it. Um, the world is big, go for it. There are a lot of challenges, and do what you want to do. Follow your passion, definitely, but
yeah,
within reasons. I mean, you have to compromise sometimes. Follow your passion, but always think about, where do I want to be in 3 years.
nice. Very good advice. Not only for me, but also
Yeah.
for our listeners.
Well, yeah, that's true. The advice of an old wise man.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Great. Good. Dad,
Yes, son.
thank you for today. That was
It
great.
was, as always, it was a pleasure. And you
Yeah,
take care, have fun in Ireland, and
I will.
you're going to go your road. And next week, we're probably going to talk again. And in
Of
the
course.
meantime, we have a chat on the phone, and that's it. Now, hey,
Exactly.
there is your.
Look who's behind you. Yeah. I mean, our
Okay.
listeners can see it, but it's mom.
Yeah, it's mom. It's mom. She
Yeah.
loves you very much, I tell you.
Yeah, I love
Okay,
you too.
son, take care. All the best, and behave yourself.
Yeah, we will see about that. Talk to
Okay,
you
take
next
care.
week.
Bye bye.
Thank you everyone for listening to this episode. If you're interested in what my dad has to share next time, then make sure to tune in again next week. And if you have any questions that you want my dad to answer, then please feel free to send them to us. Hope to see you next week. Bye bye.